playing football after the loss of a loved one.
Win or lose, she's proud of you.
Love and hate in the NFL.
I hate Runyon. I hate all of them. I love that kid.
And a midshipman whose love of the game kept his NFL dream alive. It's Love, Hate, and Grief today on NFL Films Presents.
Football was my dream, my life as a 6-, 7-year-old in Buffalo. As the skinniest, smallest kid at every level, the one thing that nobody wanted to play or do was catching punts. I'll do it. That was my way to get on the field. I'll catch punts.
As Phil McConkey grew older, he remained small and skinny, but continued to be unafraid to enter the field of battle. After graduating high school, he enrolled at the Naval Academy.
You wake up every day and you say, and everybody does it, and says, I hate this place. Everybody, every day. It's that difficult. And it's not only the academic side of it, it's the pressure that they place on you every minute of every day, 24/7 for 4 straight years.
McConkey's ability to handle pressure was on display in his final collegiate game. With Navy down 16-3 in the Holiday Bowl, McConkey led a stirring comeback. He scored the game-winning touchdown and was voted the game's most valuable player.
What a great way to end your football career, I thought. 21 years old and going to take...
But did you think it was going to end?
That was it. I'm looking at least 5 years active duty in the Navy. I mean, Roger Staubach did it, but he was a legend, a godlike figure to me and many of us at the time, so no way I was going to play pro football. And about 3.5 years into this 5-year commitment, this bug starts eating at me. And I'd wonder, what if? What if I had the chance? Would I have made it? Would I have been able to satisfy this dream, this yearning I have had all my life?
Navy assistant coach Steve Belichick got McConkey a tryout with his son's team, the New York Giants. The man McConkey needed to impress was a former Army assistant with a military-like demand for excellence, head coach Bill Parcells. The tryout was cut short. Showing little sympathy for McConkey's football aspirations, the Navy refused to grant him an early release from his commitment. 1 year later, with his Navy commitment fulfilled, McConkey again tried out for the Giants.
Every single day that Phil caught punts in practice, do you know who was standing within a yard of him? Was Parcells. I said, get under, square up, do this, do that. Oh, my gosh, it just was endless.
Throughout his coaching career, Parcells took a special interest in punt returning.
So, you want the ball coming down on your head. It's windy around here. It's windy over there at the Meadowlands.
I don't know whether I remember exactly what his mantra was. It was, don't drift, don't...
I got it all. That guy's never caught a punt in his effing life, but he is the absolute expert on it, believe me.
There's a lot of guys who go back there and just fool around. Yeah, but it's a hard job to be good at. And I'm one of the best guys coaching in the league on that.
It was always, his adage was, sprint to the ball.
Sprint to it.
Don't drift.
Don't drift.
Get set, catch it.
Get set, catch it.
And it was against the law, punishable by beheading if you let that ball hit the ground.
You're going to puke. I'm going to be back here with you so much. You're going to be throwing up about every 5 minutes listening to me.
The man absolutely refuses to accept excuses. He won't tolerate them. He don't want anything to do with them. So as an athlete, as a football player, if you know no excuse is accepted nor tolerated, I'm telling you, you get more out of yourself.
In 1984, at the age of 27, McConkey made the Giants. For 2 years, he was the Giants' best return man, second in yards per catch, and far and away the team's emotional leader. But at the start of 1986, McConkey was released by the Giants and signed by the Packers. 4 weeks into the season, McConkey had not caught a pass or fielded a punt. Packers head coach Forrest Gregg called McConkey into his office.
I'm thinking I'm going to get cut. He says, hey, I got some good news for you. We traded you back to the Giants. And I'm sitting in this chair, and I'm just like absolutely stunned, and it was surreal, and it didn't make any sense. He says, I got to get to a meeting. Phone's going to ring in a second. It's going to be Parcells.
He made the mistake of asking me what we had to give to get him, and I told him, oh, not much, just 2 clipboards and a dummy. And I said, we sent that out to Green Bay, and can you get here tonight? And he said, yeah, I'll be there right away.
There he is the first day back on the field, and Parcells is just killing him. McConkey, I had to give up 2 lunch buckets and a tackling dummy for you, and, on and on. And it was funny. So it was really kind of great for team morale, good for chemistry, and it really was a comfort level for me because, believe it or not, he was a big play receiver, and he made a lot of big plays for us in the passing game.
After getting McConkey back, the Giants won 14 of their next 15 games. In the NFC Championship game, the surging Giants met the 40-mile-per-hour winds of the Meadowlands.
There was a tremendous difference in field position acquired by us with Phil McConkey's ability to catch punts. And the Redskin punt returner let the ball hit the ground well over 50 yards. I think it was in the neighborhood of close to 100 yards.
Once again, when the pressure was greatest, McConkey was at his best. Thanks to a boost from their 5'8" spark plug, the Giants were headed to the Super Bowl.
So we're getting ready to go to Pasadena. Parcells comes in the locker room. He's got this chart of the Rose Bowl. And he says, hey, McConkey, this is where we come out. These are where our fans going to be. Get that effing white towel out and make it seem like Giant Stadium.
McConkey was so open with his emotions. He let it be known he wanted to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. He talked about it all week. He didn't care. He just let things out.
In the fourth quarter, with the Giants putting the final touches on a championship season, McConkey's opportunity had arrived.
So I'm just cutting wide open across the field. The ball comes, floats in.
Sims is looking way downfield. He's got to receive it. Complete.
And I'm thinking, my God, I'm going to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. What I had dreamt about my whole life.
Down to the 10. 5. Touchdown, I believe. I know they are marking at the 1. Bill McConkey to the 1-yard line.
I'm that close to a Super Bowl touchdown. Oh, I was just elated and frustrated at the same time.
On the Giants' final pass of the game, the player who personified patience and persistence received the ultimate payoff.
I caught the ball, and there's my touchdown in the Super Bowl. At that point, you're out of your mind. I didn't know what to do. I had no dances. I wasn't there that many times in the NFL.
The Giants had won the Super Bowl, but the former Navy officer wasn't finished playing hero.
And I'm just hooping and hollering and just spinning around like an idiot. And I look down, and I'm just like stunned for a second. And I go over, and there's a gun, a pistol laying on the field, in the middle of the field. The security guard comes and just takes it out of my hand. And then I go off on my merry way. The story that came out later was that a security guard dropped it wrestling with a fan. I don't know. I got in the press conference afterwards, and they asked me about it, and I said, well, yeah, I scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, helped my team, and saved some lives all in a day's work, Looking back in hindsight, what I should have done in that celebration, I should have just started shooting that thing off in the air in celebration. Nobody would have ever forgotten that.
That's right. Now, when you see this,
What do you think?
Oh, man.
Cover of the New York Times.
It gives me chills to this day. I was in this position in my thoughts and mind and dreams billions of times before. Since I was 6 years old, I was there. Odds weren't so great of me being in that position. But for the rest of my life, I can always say I was on the New York Giants and we won Super Bowl 21 and I helped.
McConkey's rise is now part of football lore, and his story has been passed down to future players by his old head coach.
I've had them all. I had Megan, I had McConkey. All these guys can return. They were good returners, and I'm teaching you just what I taught them.
It seems that love is all around in the NFL.
You love me? God, I love it here. I love you, man. I love that kid.
I'll give you a kiss if you call XYC.
That's the way to love what you do. I love it. I love you, bud. I love you, baby. I love you, baby.
And its opposite.
I hate you! You need haters. You know what? I just hate them dudes. I hate McNabb. I hate Runyon. I hate all of them.
I hate them kind of backs, man.
Feed off of that hatred, baby. Sir. You gotta love it.
Wait a minute. Love and hate together?
Feed off of that hatred, baby. Sir. You gotta love it. They hate to love me in here, baby. They gonna love to hate me. They hate me because they love me.
Love and hate are extremely passionate types of emotions with a different interpretation in the brain.
Passionate fan A?
I love you, Red.
Passionate fan B? But do these different interpretations of passion apply to players?
I think guys who might get hit, they're going to try to love everybody and make sure they know that they're their friend. And the guys that are trying to take each other's head off, you know, they're more in that hate mode, that rage mode.
Are defensive players angry by nature?
We're going to beat them down today, like they deserve to get beat down.
And offensive players happy?
If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. All you can do is give your best. Love you guys.
Defensively, you gotta just walk the edge of being angry throughout the whole game.
We gotta be angry, then that's what we do.
We have to hate you for 60 minutes.
Did I mention I hate the Redskins?
Those who love competition find it easy to hate in the sense of making the opponent an object that you have to overcome.
Anybody touch the ball, they get knocked out today. That's the type of mentality we gonna have here today. That's what we do. We play on this side. We violent.
Anger and rage and fury are instrumental to accomplish your goals, but I don't think you can maintain that the whole game.
Control your aggression, your emotion.
Otherwise, you habituate to it and it just becomes an average mental state. There's another problem with intense anger. If you are angry for too long and too intensely, you could have what's called an adrenaline dump, where you use up all your energy, and then for the last part of the game, you have nothing left.
Control your anger. It's gonna be a long game, dog.
The key is to be able to manufacture that anger for the play. The play is only a few seconds long, but then to be able to relax after the play.
This sort of emotional restraint seems psychologically advanced. But is it?
I think the difference between offense and defense is the defense is out there to create disruption, chaos. The offense has a plan. They know what they're going to execute in a very refined way.
It's a lot about rhythm and timing, and I think there's a more cerebral aspect to the offensive side of the ball.
When you're talking about the emotions of anger, those came long before the deep thought processes of the frontal lobe. I mean, when you look at evolution, the most basic parts of the brain are those survival instincts of anger and fear.
So the offense is more refined?
The weather's been nice down here, huh?
Yeah, it has been. You know, it's
this is beautiful.
This is.
Let's roll. Let's roll. That's it, baby.
Defensive guys, they're tough guys, and they have to have their tough attitude and walk around looking all mean and mad. But the game should be played with a smile, man, because it's still a game.
Put on the happy face.
Overall, offensive players are happy. I mean, when you're scoring touchdowns, you're going to be happy.
Even when we knock people out, we're smiling.
You got so much love to give. I'm not the bad guy. I love you. Come on. I love you.
I think you want angry guys on both sides of the ball.
Football is a complex game, much like this topic. Maybe there is no simple definition of an offensive or defensive mentality.
Playing a little angry today?
Yeah, man.
I think the guys on offense who have a defensive mentality are the ones who are successful.
They like a guy with some fight, you know, kind of like that guy 86 from Pittsburgh.
I try to knock me somebody out and smile after I do it.
All right, this is just getting too confusing. But anybody who's ever been in a relationship understands the fine line between love and hate. So whether you're on offense or defense, go ahead. Hate the guy across the line of scrimmage. Just remember, love the one beside you. After all, the best teams in NFL history had love on their side.
Love you to death.
Love you to death, baby.
Have a big one, okay?
All good teams that I've been around, whether offense or defense, they really love each other.
I love you, man. Love you, baby. I love you, baby. I love pro football.
This was very important for him to play. I think he needed the game today. He needed football today. And boy, did he deliver for us.
In Week 4 of the 2008 season, former Tampa Bay kicker Matt Bryant had a perfect day, making all 3 of his field goal attempts.
Good snap, good hold. The kick is airborne. It is good! Matt Bryant looks up to the sky with a go-ahead field goal. God bless you, Matt Bryant.
What made his performance extraordinary was that the day before, he and his wife attended the funeral for their 3-month-old son, Tryson, who had died in his sleep earlier in the week.
It was all about him for me. You know, I talked with him in my, personally in my head throughout the game. He's with me all the time.
Playing football after such a loss might seem strange, but the game can be an important part of the grieving process.
And that's the danger we have now, is that people will expect others to grieve just like they do. You know, people will expect others to cry and talk about it when maybe that's not their way at all. There's a lot of ways that people tend to grieve that are hidden and misunderstood, men in particular. The feminine part is feeling and talking about it, whereas men will tend to move towards the action. And the more we can kind of honor those ways in both men and women, because the women also use the masculine side, and the men also use the feminine. We need to honor all the ways.
But honoring the loss of a loved one while at the same time honoring team commitments creates an emotional dilemma.
If it makes sense to them, it makes sense. For some people, backing away for a little bit, to just breathe, to just get my arms around it, is what makes most sense. For some people, being there in my life, in my moment, stepping into living, is where it feels safe. It's where the edges are. It's where I can feel confident instead of out of control. It's where I can be and where my social network is to support me.
My wife loves all of you. She's proud of you. Win or lose, she's proud of you. And I just appreciate all of y'all's effort.
For coaches like Mike Zimmer and players such as former Patriot Matt Castle and former Packer Brett Favre, who both played after their fathers died, the game helped a time of sorrow become a time of healing.
For about 5 minutes, there was some indecision on whether or not I was going to play. You know, and it didn't take long for me to say, you got to play in this game. What better way to honor your father than playing this game? I mean, and that's truly what he would have wanted me to do. Get your out there and play. Are you crazy? I mean, I could see him saying that.
Let's take him a game ball. If you need anything else for this week, let me know.
He used that game and the way he played is really as a tribute to his father, and he played spectacularly. I remember seeing him throw the first touchdown pass and point to the sky, and it was a great tribute to his dad.
That was a tough week for you. We're behind you. Appreciate everything you do for us.
think one of the things that is not really understood so much about grief is that it's not just a feeling, it's a whole cascade, it's a whole gestalt of a lot of different feelings that come, one right after the other. To be able to use your profession as a way to ease the pain for a moment, that's very reasonable. To also be able to use this profession as a way of coming really in contact with it is very, very honest and real and useful.
If you want to hear and see a eulogy for Irvin, go back and look at the game that Brett played the other night. That's the eulogy to Irv.
Favre put his action on the field, and it was his action that honored his father, and by honoring his father, he was dealing with his emotions. The same kind of stuff that people would take to a support group and talk about is right there with him during that game.
Football can also be a place of expression for a team that mourns together. The Redskins faced this in 2007 after the death of safety Sean Taylor, number 21.
When people are stressed,